Hello, students. So, the next and last part of this lecture. After this lecture, our syllabus our syllabus will finish. So, this is the point where we were at the in the last lecture. What are the ways to identify predatory journals? We have seen all these ways are there, or some indications are there that these how which journals are predatory and how you have to go for them. So whenever you find such kind of journal, you are not going to submit any of your research in these particular journals. So the next part is that be aware of fake journals and predatory journals. So again, we are going to see a few points, that is advanced science index. You might find you visit a particular journal site which is suppose fake or predatory. So you may find they will give list of indexes where this journal is actually indexed, right? So those are advanced science index, Cosmos impact factor. So they will write any impact factor 10, 11, that is Cosmos impact factor, or dictionary of journal quality factor, then global impact factor. No such factors are required. Then index Copernicus is actually the fake. Then International Scientific Indexing, ISI, Scientific Indexing Services, SIS, then universal impact factor and other fake metrics. So all these metrics are fake. Any good journal which is actually a good category journal, they will not cite all this, right? So they might sort some of them, but not all of them. Or some Cosmos or global impact factor or universal impact factor, these impact factors will not be there. So uh, it's your uh, it's your decision that you should stop publishing in predatory journals. You should choose always good journal to publish whatever research you have done. It doesn't matter, it's a small but quality research, then it must get published in good journal. So use appropriate indexing database to select. So how you are going to find out good journal? Now you know which are the predatory journals, which are fake journals, which indexes are there, and the ISSN number is a big confusing factor. ISSN number is nothing but the number which every journal will have. So even a fake journal can take the ISSN number, can get the number, because it is just the unique number of that particular journal. Nothing else it indicates. It doesn't indicate that the journal is good, right? And if the journal is not having ISSN number, then it is not at all good, right? Now, which are good journals? The journals which gives that they are indexed in the Web of Science, then Copernicus or Scopus, sorry, not Copernicus, Scopus, then PubMed, then DOAG, that is Directory of Open Access Journal, then Cabell's Journal Analytics, and UGC Careless. Now this UGC Careless are continuously getting updated. So whenever they found that a particular journal is not good, it is become fake now. Previously it was good, they immediately remove that journal from the list. And this UGC Careless, even you can find just give in Google UGC care list and you will find, or even on SPPU website you will find this UGC care list. Now there are major international organizations which works on research and publication ethics. The one is COP, that is Committee on Publication Ethics. Another is WAME, that is World Association of Medical Editors. So these all are actually the committees which are made by the international editors. So all international editors, good journal editors, are there in these committees. So ICMJE, that is International Committee of Medical Journal and Editors. This is also very important, and these all are the best one who gives the correct publication ethics, or who decides the publication ethics, you can say. So CSE, Council of Science Editors, then EASE, that is European Association of Science Editors. Now there are some major research reporting guidelines. These are also the reporting guidelines which you can follow. that for Prisma, that is preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis. So if you want to write some systematic reviews or meta-analysis you want to work, you have to follow this guidelines, Prisma. Then Concert, which is for consolidated standards of reporting trials. So you are going to work on some trials, then follow all these Consort guidelines. Then Strobe, that is trading the reporting of observational studies in epidemiology. So if you want to do research in epidemiology, you have to follow these guidelines. Then SRQR, that is standard for reporting qualitative research, a synthesis of recommendation. So these are the general guidelines. These you also can follow, which are come under these five. After these five, you can follow this, right? Then MOOSE, MOOSE, that is meta-analysis of observational studies in epidemiology. So in epidemiology, if you're doing research, you can follow either this, or you can go through this, both of them. Then STRAND, that is standards for reporting of diagnostic accuracy study. So you're working in medical epidemiology or systematic meta-analysis, then you have to follow guidelines of these extra guidelines. The first guidelines will be, the major guidelines will get covered, but subject-wise or the topic-wise guideline will again get covered in these guidelines. So you have to even go for these. So you have to go to the site, even on Google, you just type this preferred reporting items for systematic review and meta-analysis guidelines. You will get all the guidelines on Prisma, Concert, all guidelines you will get it. Then quality indicators for open access journal. These are the some following positive indicators that journal or publisher which indicates that a particular journal is not predatory. So scope of the journal is well defined and clear. So every journal, if you go to the website, there you will find always scope of the journal. So read that and you will get the idea it is well defined or not, it is clearly stated or not. So for good journal, it is always well defined and clear. Journals primary audience is researchers and practitioners, right? Then editorial board are recognized expert in the field. Every time whenever you want to go for a good journal, see its editorial board. It will tell you a lot about the journal, right? So if the higher scientists or expert scientists are on that particular editorial board, it means that particular journal must be the good journal. Then journal is affiliated with or sponsored by established scholarly society or academic institution as Scopus and all. So articles are within the scope of the journal and meet the standards of the discipline. You can also go read 2-3 articles and you will come to know that whether that particular article is properly written and what is the quality of that article. Basically, you will able to know. So always before you submit to a particular journal, go through the articles. So you will find out whether it is meeting the standards of that particular discipline or not. Any fee or charges for publishing in the journal are easily found on the journal website and clearly explained, right? So all good journals will always have some fees, right? And which is clearly explained. Articles have DOAs. So this is the date of publication. Always article will have some new, whatever publications are there and good journals are there, they are always having DOIs. So the journals who are having DOIs are the good one, mostly. So journal clearly indicates rights of use and reuse of the contents at the article level, right? Then journal has ISSN. This every journal will have, but it cannot be the property. But then you have to check the availability of ISSN using ISSN portal. You have to go to ISSN portal and find it out really that particular journal is having that number or not. Publisher is the member of Open Access Scholarly Publishers Association. Journal is registered in Ulrich Web Global Serial Directory, that is UWGSD. Then journal is listed in Directory of Open Access Journal. Then journal is included in legitimate abstracting or indexing services or database, that is Midline or Scopus or Web of Science. If Scopus or Web of Science, this journal is there, it means that journal is definitely not predatory, and it must be, you can consider it is a good journal, because these databases check all these categories and then only they allow them to be the part of them. So before you submit, ask the following: is the journal published by the established publisher or recognized professional society? Then do you recognize the name of editor-in-chief or some members in the editorial board? Are they expert in the field? Does the journal provide a the sample of copyright transfer agreement? This is very important. If a good journal is there, always this form you need to fill on its website, and it is always given on the website. So is the publication schedule clear and consistent? Means within how much time your paper will get completed, and everything should be online. Are the journal's aim and scope clearly stated? Then does the journal post a statement about its ethical practices? This is very important. Good journal will always have this. Does it appear to adhere to the principle of transparency and best practices in the scholarly publication? So is the journal is the member of Committee of Publication Ethics, COPE committee is there, and is that journal is the member of that particular committee or not? You all know this, that COP. Then the International Association, and if not COP, then is it the member of International Association of Scientific, Technical and Medical Publisher, that is STM. The journal listed in the Dictionary of Open Access Journal, that is DOAJ, is publisher a member of open access. So whatever journal is listed, the publisher of this particular journal is that person is the member of Open Access Scholarly Publisher Association or not. If these things are there, then definitely the journal is good. You can also see the publication ethics checklist, that is approval and consent. Do you have the approval of relevant regulatory authorities? If you have done the research, check this, that do you have the proper approvals? Do you have registered your clinical trials? Have you documented informed consent? Then in case of data accuracy, falsification and fabrication, check that is there manipulation of the material, equipment, process or data. Have you done any of this? Have you double check the data for accuracy? That is always better. Is there any lurking fake data you have added? Then plagiarism and self-plagiarism. Have you used your own prior research work or copied others' work? Check it. That have you done this? If so, you have cited this correctly. If you are taking it, you need to cite it properly. Do you have written permission for reproduce material figures or tables? Then submission fraud. Is there simultaneous submission to two journals? Am I submitting it to two journals? No, I should not. Then have a published the entire work or a part of it, that is salami slicing. Have you done it already? If done, have you stated it into your paper? Then have you excessively cited your own publication, right? Published in the sense, have you presented that work, right? If part of the work published, you can also give the citation of that paper, right? Then ethics of authorship, have you included all the authors in a specific pre-agreed order? You must accept take the consent of all the authors. What will be the place or what will be their place, means what will be their order of the authorship. So do you have an arrangement with co-authors? Are the co-authors aware of the contents of the publication? This is very important. Every co-author must be aware with the publication content. Have they had access to and hold themselves responsible for the data and the interpretation? So they know the data, they know the interpretation, and they are taking the responsibility of that. Is there any ghost author or guest author? You have to check this. Then conflict of interest, have you declared relevant interest and relationship that could be seen as influencing your findings? So you need to do that every time. You have to give the form signed with your sign regarding conflict of interest. Then what are the softwares which identify the predatory journal generally used by our university? So journal finder or journal suggestion tools, for example, Jani, elsewhere journal finder is there, Springer journal uh, is there, then indexing databases, citation databases, Web of Science, Scopus, etc. are the some of the software. General software is which is used by our university is Turnitin and Urkud. So Savitribai Phule Pune University generally use Turnitin and Urkud for the plagiarism check, and this is for the predatory publication. Others which is used are Quitext, DupliChecker. This DupliChecker is even the free, and it has both the options, free as well as the payment mode. Then CopyLeaker, plagiarism checker, then plagiarism detector, then Copyscape, then PlagScan from original, then no plan, then Turnitin. Turnitin is the best one till date. Then which will check for actually the originality and unique. These are also the softwares. That is, Turnitin will be the best for checking the plagiarism, and the result by Turnitin is generally authentically taken by maximum scientists. But of course, DupliChecker is also good. Then originality and UniChecker are also good. Then about the COP, that COP is the registered charitable company, which is limited by UK and was set up by Memorandum of Association on 3rd October 2007. So COP's principle is to educate and advance knowledge in methods of safeguarding the integrity of the scholarly record for the benefit of public. So the members of this committee are generally good journal editors, publishers, universities and research institutes, as well as organizations and individuals which are involved in the publication ethics. Then COP committee is committed to educating and supporting editors, publishers, universities, research institutes, and all those involved in the publication ethics. What is the aim of COP? Is to move the culture of publishing towards one where the ethical practices become the normal part of culture itself. So near about all the 25 years, COP has grown to support the members worldwide from all the fields of academics. Now, these are the guidelines. I will not read each and everything, but some of them that how they have developed. A lot of meetings, discussions are done by these editors, academicians, scientists, and then by a lot of discussion, they develop these guidelines, and they developed these guidelines in 1997, and the details of other guidelines and ethics of the research are published. Codes of the conducts are all already listed in the on the site of COP. So you can just go to the Google and give COP, that is Guidelines for Good Publication Ethics, or the Committee on Publication Ethics. You will get all these guidelines immediately. So the aim is, of course, to avoid the wrong practices or misconduct in the research. So whenever you are doing a study design, what ethical approval you need, that you have to find. So ethical approval means you have to take ethically the permission of a particular sample, person, participant, or if you are using animal, then ethical committee approval is needed. So a committee is there, then you have to see that how much less pain should be done to that particular organism when you are doing the research. Then the action that laboratory and clinical research should be driven by protocol. Plot study should have a written rationale. Then research protocol should seek to answer specific questions rather than just collection of the data. Then third is method of analysis. These are the guidelines for writing the research design, how you have to write. So method of analysis must be explained in detail and references if they are not in common use. Then post hoc analysis of subgroup is acceptable as long as it is disclosed. Don't hide anything, disclose everything, then it will be more easy for you. Then the discussion section of the paper should mention any issue which are biased and which have been considered and explained. So nothing you have to slip, right? Then authorship, again, you know what is authorship, you know even types of the authorship. So then subsequent the authorship. So whenever even in experimental design, whenever experimental you're doing experiments with the data required, then the full compliance with the local, national, ethical and regulatory committee or local licensing committee is very important here. Then in data analysis, you all know what is data analysis, what action you have to basically in everything you have to tell very clearly that what you have done in your research design at that particular step, right? So in data analysis, you have to explain everything, what type of data you are going to use, then what methods you are going to do, or by which method you have collected that particular data. Are you going to apply statistics or not? This all you must specify. Then in case of authorship, the authorship should be balanced. You all know that there are ghost, guest authors that should not be there, right? And it should be balanced as per the work done by the scientist. Then to avoid the dispute, obviously you have to previously decided everything, and then you have to submit the author and the research paper as per the consent of all the contributors. Then all the authors must take public responsibility of the content of the paper. It is not like that it is the responsibility of only first author or the last author, the guide. It is the responsibility of every author. The multidisciplinary nature of research can make it difficult, but in that case, you have to add all the authors from that particular discipline who have helped you in preparation of that particular work. So careful reading of the target journal advice to author is advised in the light of current uncertainty. So everything should be clear to each and every author. Then conflict of interest. You all know what is conflict of interest. We have already seen it in detail. So the action is in such interest where relevant must be declared to the editors. So everything should be clear with the editors by all the researchers, authors and reviewers. Then editors should be disclose relevant conflict of interest to their readers. So whatever the authors or researchers are telling that they are having conflict of interest or not, that should be declared or disclosed by the editor. So every time in a paper, you will find that conflict of interest, whether researcher has a conflict of interest or not. It is clearly stated in each and every paper. So if any doubt, better you disclose it. Sometimes editor may need to withdraw from the review and selection process for a relevant submission. Sometimes it happens, but most of the times it won't. Then peer review definition, you all know peer review are those which are the reviewers are, peer reviewers are those which are the experts in that particular field, and your paper goes to them, they critically evaluate it, and as per the evaluation, they give some suggestions to the editors, to the researcher. Then reviewer and editor should not make any use of the data, argument, interpretations unless they have the author's permission. They cannot do any another thing. They can just verify the data, they can just go through it and they can just give the suggestions. The reviewer should provide speedy, accurate, and continuous, unbiased, and justifiable reports. If the reviewers suspect misconduct, then they should write in confidence to the editor. Always, whenever reviewer is there, a special different forms are there which reviewer has to write, and uh, online only on the side they will share a link with you, and in that link you have to give, if something you found that this type of work is similar work I found in this particular paper, or the author has written the same work, that the reviewer is not going to tell directly to the researcher, better confidently it can tell it to the editor, and that space is given to the reviewer. Journals should publish accurate description of their peer reviews, selection, and appeals process. Journals should do provide regular audits of their acceptance rate and publications. Now, six is redundant publication if it is getting published repeatedly. That is what is called redundant. That is the replication of publication. So in that case, published studies do not need to repeat it unless further confirmation is required. Then previous publication of the abstract during the proceeding of the meetings does not preclude subsequent submission of the publication, but full disclosure. As I said, that if you have presented it into the conference, you should write it into the paper in that way. Republication of the paper in another language is acceptable, but before that, you have to state it clearly in the first publication that you are going to do this in this particular language. At the time of submission, author should disclose details of the related paper, even if the different language and similar paper is in press. It is not yet published. You have to give this. Then plagiarism, you all know what is plagiarism. All sources should be disclosed, and if large, then it have been all sources should be disclosed, and if the large amount of other people's written illustration you are using it as it is, then there are the actions which can be taken in case of the plagiarism. Now, what are the duties of the editors? In case of plagiarism, you have to generally tell that first scientist that you have done this. First, you have to tell that if the scientist agrees, which we have already seen, then accordingly the actions can be taken. So duties of editor's decision is to accept or reject the paper. This is the major work, right? And for the publication to be based only on the paper's whatever quality and whatever reviewers comments are there. Editor's decision is the main decision, which generally sees that paper's importance, originality, clarity, and the study is relevant to remit or to the, is it in the scope of that particular journal. So studies that challenge previous work published in the journal should be given an especially sympathetic hearing, right? So studies reporting negative results should not be excluded, and all original studies should be peer reviewed before publication. Then the advertising. So then media relation editors must treat all submitted papers as confidential, and when published paper is subsequently found to contain major flaws, editor must accept responsibility, right? So that is the editor's responsibility. Media relation. Then in case of medical research, findings are increasing interest to the print and broadcast media. So there are few guidelines even for that. Author's approach to the media should give the balance and account of the work as possible. Then simultaneous publication in the mass media, a peer-reviewed journal is advised, as this usually means that enough evidence and data have been provided to satisfy the informed and critical readers. So I will not go through everything. Then the advertising definition, that is many scientific journals and meeting drive significant income from the advertising. So advertising can be added, but it should be the editor's decision, which the advertising must not be influenced by the I mean, the editor should not be, or the journal should not get influenced by the advertising company, and it should not take any revenue or reprint potential. Then advertisement is which actually mislead must be refused. So reprint should be published as they appear in the journal unless the correction is to be added. Reprint is when your paper is getting published, few copies of that particular paper is given to the authors. So that is called as reprint. Then dealing with the misconduct. So these are few serious misconduct which we have already discussed, that if this happens, that what action can be taken. So if misconduct is investigated, then COP will take the action. If serious misconduct is there, then the most serious step is their authorship is completely removed, in the sense they will never be able to publish any paper, and their increments will also get stopped. And many a times they will get dismissed by the company in which they are working. That is the major punishment, you can say. And if it is not the major, then the editor give, or the committee COP will decide the minor punishment, in that they will give the warning letters to the author. Then they will give the relevant warning letters to, or the letters to the head of the institution, so that everyone will know. Then then there will be refusal to accept for future submissions from that particular individual, even from that particular unit. It will even from that particular institution. So formal withdrawal and retraction of that paper can also be done. So reporting the case to the General Medical Council, right, if something serious is there, and accordingly the authority or the organization will investigate it in detail. These are the references, and thus we have finished with the syllabus. All the best, and really thank you for your patience than to listen all my lectures. All the best, dear students. Bye bye.